Good evening. Doreen Chamberlain of Aldinga Beach, South Australia, is unhappy with ABC programmers.
The program, which featured Salman Rushdie, was undeclared in my TV guide, and being so late at night will have been missed by the majority of ABC viewers. It was one of the most sensational exposés I have ever viewed, and with its worldwide repercussions should be shown again so that all may be aware of the persecution of the author and those connected with him. Those fearless authors who identified themselves in the program stirred my admiration.
I have lost my freedom, my home, my family, my daily life, and I want it back.
The program wasn't listed because it was a topical special that came in without a great deal of warning. However, we did promote it fairly heavily on television and radio as well for several days before it was screened. So we did our best, Doreen. Victor Ferrick of Payneham, Adelaide, rang our 0055 number about the same program and began by saying how much he admired Salman Rushdie, who had clearly risked his life to be on the program.
However, I was shocked and disgusted that immediately after the said broadcast, the ABC advertised a Compass program featuring Yusuf Islam, better known as Cat Stevens. He, it should be remembered, came out publicly and internationally and said the death threat to Rushdie and all those involved in the publishing was a good thing and that he should die. Why give time to such an international criminal, a religious persecutionist? Please explain.
I'll do my best, Victor, but you may not like what I say. It seemed to us that the forthcoming appearance of Yusuf Islam, Cat Stevens, on Compass was of potential interest to the audience who'd watched the Geoffrey Robertson special on Salman Rushdie. So that's why we did that. As I am sometimes accused of not giving sufficient attention to sport, or too much attention to mort, that's male sport in the opinion of a feminist correspondent, here's a letter from a male person, Neil O'Keefe of Heathcote, Victoria, about the ABC's coverage of the Women's Golf Classic from Perth on Sunday the 16th of February. Neil admits to a bit of channel flipping to and from the commercial coverage of the Australian Masters in Melbourne.
At one stage, the three women who eventually tied for a three-way playoff produced the best trio of shots I have seen in years of avid golf viewing. On the par 3 7th, I think, in a performance more akin to a dartboard than golf, the three balls landed in sequence progressively closer to the pin. It was a spectacular display.
And Alison's a very strong player as well.
Wow, that is unbelievable. 3 shots like that in the one group.
I had the chance to play with Alison in the States a couple of years ago, and very strong player, and as tiny as she is, really hits the ball well.
Imagine my disappointment when this highlight didn't make it in the sports segment at the end of the ABC News. The men were there, but there were no pictures from the women's golf. Can it be that someone hasn't worked out that you don't have to have your balls in your knickers to play good golf?
Our next correspondent is all of 10 years old, and his name is Murray Wood of Wahroonga, Sydney. Murray wants to know why Michael Tunn is allowed to compare the afternoon show.
I would love it if James Valentine would somehow overthrow Michael Tunn and take his place. The reason why I don't like Michael Tunn is because every show he puts on about 3 or more boring music clips.
Okay, it's a Friday here on the afternoon show. I thought we'd take this time now to have a bit of a look at some dance music. What do you reckon? And some dance steps as well. So, for example, let's have a look at this dance step. Yeah, that was pretty good. That was an okay one. But let's try another one. Let's try another dance step here. I bet you remember. I know you remember. Yeah, I can handle that. I don't think I could do it, but, you know, it looks pretty good. Let's try another.
With James Valentine, you actually learn something every day, as he puts something different on the show, such as skating, cooking, etc. And for the people who like music clips, he showed those on Wednesday. I also have a question to ask you. Why did James Valentine lose his job when he was so good?
And Murray signed his letter, your friend, but then added this rather ominous PS.
Consider this letter, or else.
Well, Murray, I'd better respond quick smart, I guess. That's if you're still up at this time of night, but I guess you are, or you wouldn't have written to Backchat in the first place. James Valentine didn't lose his job. He fronted the afternoon show for 4 years and then felt he'd like to do something different and moved on to a show called Racket. And he's now working in commercial television. The bush tucker man has finished masticating his way around the outback in northern Australia for the moment, and Mrs. M. McLaren of Dural, New South Wales, has a question.
The bush tucker man is very educational, but why is it that wherever he travels, he always wears shorts? I mean, surely anyone who walks or crawls around in long grasses the way he does must surely run the risk of being bitten by a snake. Even the Aborigines he has travelling with him at various times nearly always wear long trousers. Does he have some mystical power that makes him immune to poisonous creatures that abound up there?
What snake would dare bite the bush tucker man? But I think I remember him saying once it's easier to spot leeches on bare legs. Meanwhile, Len Gibbs of St Kilda, Melbourne, said he fears the bush tucker man's program is not what it claims to be.
Recently, I was absolutely horrified to read in the closing credits that there is, of all things, a location caterer. I presumed Les, with his knowledge and cooking finesse, would be whipping up nutritious meals of delicious bush fare for the crew. Location caterer? I'm flabbergasted. Major Hiddens, please explain.
As we've been down this track before, Len, I'll do the honours. Yes, the bush tucker band circus does have a tucker track. Otherwise, the ravenous crew would fang the countryside bare. Les's job in the army was to ensure that soldiers who found themselves without food in the bush could survive off the land if they had to, and they're the crucial words. So location catering is indeed an important part of the operation. I could do with a spot of location catering myself right now, actually. This has been hungry work. Good night.
Backchat.